Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling something that I bet affects like almost all of you every time you shop online. Product recommendations. But hold on, we're not talking about those like generic, you might also like suggestions that you see everywhere. This is about how AI, and specifically, those large language models, the tech behind ChatGPT, how that could like completely change the way that we find things that we actually want to buy online.
Yeah, what's really interesting here is that researchers are figuring out how to use AI to actually understand products and why people might actually like them. It's like moving beyond those kind of mysterious algorithms and into something that feels a lot more like a conversation.
Oh, for sure. So, all right, let's get into it. We've got some really cool source material to work with today, a brand new academic research paper and a couple of articles about a new framework that they've developed called LLM-PKG. Sounds kind of technical, I know, but stick with us, all right? By the end of this deep dive, you're going to understand how it works and what it could mean for, like, your online shopping experience.
It all starts with a problem I think we've all had, right? Those frustrating e-commerce recommendations that just seem to come out of nowhere. Like you buy a new phone case and suddenly you're getting ads for gardening tools. It's like, does anyone even know who I am?
Exactly. Yeah, it really feels like those algorithms are just
Yeah.
like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. But the truth is, like, building a system that can actually understand what people want is incredibly complex.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine trying to create a map of all the relationships between products and brands and user types and all the other things that go into a purchase. Doing that manually would be like a complete nightmare, which is, I guess why companies have had to rely on those less than perfect algorithms.
Is that where LLMs come in? They're like the superpowered organizers of the shopping world.
Haha, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, LLMs can analyze just massive amounts of data and they can automatically create those maps of product relationships, which are usually called knowledge graphs.
Okay, so LLM-PKG. This is basically a framework for teaching AI how to be a really good, like, shopping assistant.
Hmm.
But how does that actually work? It still sounds kind of like a magic trick.
Yeah, well, let's break it down. It all starts with something called prompt engineering. It's kind of like giving the AI a very specific recipe to follow.
Ooh, okay, I like where this is going. What are the ingredients in this AI recipe?
Well, there's four key parts. First, you tell the LLM about the shopper. What they've bought before, what they've browsed. It's like giving the AI some context about who it's shopping for, basically.
So it's not just looking at a product in isolation. It's actually considering the person who might be interested in it. That makes sense. Okay, so what's next?
Well, then you tell the AI what you want it to do. Something like, find 5 other products that this person might like and give me a short explanation for each one.
Okay, starting to see how this is getting a lot more specific than just like showing me, random stuff. What are the last two parts of this recipe?
Right. So you also need to tell the AI how to format its answers, so that it's easy for humans to understand and use them. And finally, you give it a perfect example of what a good recommendation and explanation should look like.
Ah, okay. So it's like showing the AI a completed puzzle so it knows what the like finished product is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Clever.
Exactly. The researchers even included an example prompt in their paper for recommending sneakers. They even specified that the explanation should be short and catchy, something you might actually see on a website.
Oh, okay. So no more of those vague because our algorithm thinks you'll like it messages.
Hopefully not. Haha.
Yeah.
Yeah, transparency is a big part of what makes this approach so promising.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So now the AI has taken this recipe and it's used it to, analyze a ton of data about products and shoppers. But how does that actually become a knowledge graph, that map of relationships we were talking about?
Okay, well, that's where things get a little more technical, but I'll try to keep it simple. Basically, the AI breaks down all that information into these little triplets: subject, predicate, object.
So the subject would be a product, the object would be another product, and the predicate would be like the reason that they're connected.
You got it. It's like saying these running shoes are related to those hiking boots because they're both for outdoor activities. And all those little triplets come together to create the knowledge graph, that network of connected products.
It's like a connect the dots puzzle, but
Yeah.
instead of a picture, you get a map of all the relationships
Yeah.
between products. All right, okay. So we've got our AI chef, whipping up this knowledge graph.
Right.
But even the best chefs make mistakes sometimes, right? How do we make sure this thing is actually accurate and helpful?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting. The researchers actually used the same AI to evaluate its own work. They had it score its own recommendations and explanations based on, how relevant and accurate they were.
Wait a minute, so the AI is, like, grading its own homework. That's pretty meta.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it might sound a little funny, but it's actually a really powerful technique. And they didn't just rely on the AI's self-assessment, of course. They used a bunch of different metrics to measure the quality of the knowledge graph. Things like the number of connections and how well it, catered to different types of shoppers.
Okay, so it's like a combination of self-evaluation and, like, external quality control. Makes sense. But what happens if the AI's recommendations aren't, up to par? Does it get sent back to culinary school?
You could say that, yeah. They used all those scores and metrics to identify weak spots in the knowledge graph and then refine it over time.
Hmm. Okay, so it's a learning process, just like with any skill. All right, so we've got our AI chef creating this amazing knowledge graph, but we're still talking about the world of ideas, right? How does this actually translate to the real world of online shopping?
Right. Well, that's where the magic of mapping comes in. They had to find a way to connect the AI's recommendations to the actual products that are available in a store's inventory.
Because it's one thing to say, you might like a blue widget, but if that specific blue widget doesn't exist in the store, then that's not very helpful.
Exactly. To solve this, they used another AI model to translate the AI's kind of abstract ideas into those real-world products.
It's like having a translator that speaks both AI and retail.
Hmm.
Pretty crucial step. So, okay, they figured out how to match those AI-generated recommendations with actual buyable products. But how does all this happen in real time when someone's browsing online? It seems like it would take forever to process all that information.
Right. Well, that's where the online serving module comes in. All those triplets we talked about earlier, those little pieces of the knowledge graph, they get stored in a super fast database. It's like having a hyper-organized filing system where you can just instantly find what you need.
So the AI has already done all the hard work up front,
Yeah.
and now it's just a matter of quickly grabbing the relevant recommendations when someone's browsing the store.
Exactly. And get this, the system actually works in two stages. First, it uses the LLM-PKG to select a pool of potential recommendations based on either the product you're looking at or your user profile. Then in stage two, it personalizes those recommendations even further by taking into account all your individual preferences and behaviors.
So it's like having a personal shopper that is constantly learning and adapting to your tastes.
That's the idea, yeah. And here's the best part. They actually display the explanation that's generated by the AI alongside the recommendation. So you can actually see why something is being suggested to you, which makes the whole experience feel, I think, a lot more transparent and trustworthy.
Yeah, it's about time. No more shadowy algorithms making decisions for us. We deserve to know why we're being shown certain products. This is incredible. We've gone from those, frustratingly random recommendations to a system that uses AI to understand what we want, right, and then explain why we might like it. But the big question is, does it actually work? Does that actually improve the shopping experience?
Well, the researchers didn't just stop at the theory. They actually tested LLM-PKG in a real-world e-commerce setting. They compared it to the existing recommendation system to see which one performed better.
Okay, so we've got our AI contenders stepping into the ring. What happened? Did it deliver a knockout punch?
Let's just say the results were pretty impressive. You want to hear how it all went down?
Absolutely. Let's dive into those results. All right, spill the beans. What happened when they let this AI loose in a real online store?
Well, they decided to focus on the sneaker category for this experiment, which I think makes a lot of sense. It's it's a huge market with tons of variety. You got brands, styles, price points, all that. Perfect for really testing if the AI could understand those nuanced relationships between all the different products.
Yeah, sneakers are definitely a whole world unto themselves. So how did they actually set up this real-world experiment?
So first, they picked out a representative sample of sneakers from the store's inventory, kind of like creating a starter kit for the AI to learn from. Then they use those sneakers to create the prompts, those instructions that we were talking about earlier.
So they were basically saying to the AI, okay, here's a pair of classic Air Jordans. Now find me 5 other sneakers that someone who likes Air Jordans might also be into, and tell me why.
Exactly. And so the AI got to work churning out those recommendations and explanations, building out that knowledge graph. But of course, they didn't just trust the AI blindly. They wanted to make sure those recommendations were actually good.
Right. Of course, it's one thing for the AI to, like, think it's doing a good job,
Yeah.
but we need some hard evidence,
Yeah.
right? So how do they measure the quality of the recommendations?
Well, they had a few different approaches. First, they just looked at the overall structure of the knowledge graph, things like how many connections it had and how well it represented different types of shoppers. Think of it like checking the foundation of a house to make sure it's solid.
So, okay, so they were making sure that the AI wasn't just recommending like the same types of sneakers to everyone.
Exactly. They want to see if it could create diverse recommendations that cater to different tastes and demographics.
Makes sense. Okay, so they checked the overall structure. What else did they look at?
Right. Well, they also had the AI evaluate its own work, which, as we discussed earlier, can be surprisingly effective. And then to make sure things were extra thorough, they used a bunch of different metrics to measure how well those AI-generated explanations matched up with, reality.
So they were basically checking to see how often the AI got the why part right. Were there any surprises when they looked at all this data?
Yeah, one thing that stood out was that the AI was really good at figuring out all the different reasons why someone might like a product. It wasn't just about finding similar sneakers. Sometimes it was about finding a better deal or highlighting a specific feature that a shopper might be interested in.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't just about recommending the same brand or style. The AI was actually able to think a little bit more strategically about like what a shopper might actually want.
Exactly. It was thinking like a real personal shopper, not just a matching algorithm.
That's really impressive. Sounds like this AI was going above and beyond. But even with all that analysis and refinement, we're still kind of in the theoretical realm, right? Did they actually test this thing out with real shoppers?
Oh, they did. And that's where things get really, really exciting. They set up what's called an A/B test, which basically means they compared two groups of shoppers. One group got recommendations from the AI-powered system, and the other group got recommendations from the store's, existing system.
Okay, so it's like a head-to-head competition between the AI and the old school recommendation algorithm. What were they measuring to see who came out on top?
Well, they focused on the metrics that really matter in e-commerce, right?
Right.
Things like whether people clicked on the recommendations,
Yeah.
whether those clicks actually led to purchases,
Yeah.
and how much money people were spending overall.
Bottom line, basically. So who won? Did the AI prove that it was more than just a fancy experiment?
Let's just say the results were pretty clear. You want to hear the numbers?
Absolutely. Don't leave me hanging. Hit me with those results. Did the AI live up to all the hype?
It really did. First up, they looked at clicks, The group that saw the AI-powered recommendations, well, they had a 5.19% increase in clicks compared to the group that was just using the store's regular system.
Okay, all right, that's a good start. But clicks don't always mean that much, right? We need to know if those clicks actually turned into, sales.
Right, and that's where it gets even more interesting. So they tracked purchases, first over a day and then again over a whole week. And in both cases, the group using the AI-powered system had about 7.5% more transactions.
Oh, wow. So people weren't just clicking out of curiosity. They were actually buying more stuff. That's what really matters at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. And then to see the real impact, they also measured the total value of all those purchases. And get this, the AI-powered group had an 8.56% increase in spending in just one day.
Wow, those are some serious numbers. Sounds like this AI really did make a difference in how people shopped.
Yeah, and the researchers think that those results really come down to the two big advantages of LLM-PKG, accuracy and explainability.
Okay, yeah, remind me one more time. Why were those two factors so important?
Well, the accuracy part is, I think, pretty straightforward. By using the smarts of LLMs, the system was able to understand the products and the shoppers better, and then suggest things that people actually wanted.
It's like having a personal shopper that actually gets your taste. But how did the explainability part play into all of this?
Well, think about it this way. Are you more likely to buy something if you know why it's being recommended to you?
Totally. If a website just says recommended for you, I'm probably going to, like, ignore it,
Well,
honestly.
yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it says, like, people who bought this also bought that, or this item is similar to something you've, viewed before, then, yeah, I'm way more likely to at least check it out.
Exactly. Those explanations make a huge difference. They build trust and give shoppers more confidence in their decisions.
It's not just about the AI being smart. It's about the AI being able to, like, communicate that intelligence to us in a way that makes sense.
Precisely. That's what sets LLM-PKG apart from those old school recommendation systems. It's not a mystery anymore. You can actually see why something's being suggested to you, which I think makes the whole experience just feel a lot more transparent.
Yeah, for sure. This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We've learned so much about how AI is, like, changing the future of online shopping. It's mind-blowing to see how this technology can analyze just, massive amounts of data,
Yeah.
and then turn it into personalized recommendations that actually make sense.
And this is just the beginning. The researchers are already exploring even more advanced applications of this technology. Imagine, getting recommendations based not just on what you've bought before, but on your actual interests and your hobbies.
Whoa, that would be incredible. It's like having an AI friend who knows you so well that they can suggest new things that you love, but, never even knew existed.
Exactly. The possibilities really are endless. We might even see this technology move beyond just products to suggest, experiences, services, even content.
It's amazing to think about how much our online experiences could change, next few years. So,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway for our listeners today? What should they be thinking about the next time they see that recommended for you section online?
Pay attention. Are the recommendations getting smarter? Are they more personalized? And more importantly, are you getting those explanations? Do those recommendations feel transparent and trustworthy, or are they still kind of, shrouded in mystery?
It's about being an informed shopper, right? We need to understand how these technologies are working and whether they're, being used ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, exactly. It's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged as AI continues to reshape the digital world around us.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, happy shopping.